All right, everybody, I'm gonna show you. That's something I just can't do. I just gotta be me. I just gotta see my own path. So, what I know is business. Top of the top. Drop, I don't drop. Stop, I don't stop. Video, I just hop to the next one. So this one is about how I made over $2,000 a month after 1 year of starting my first source of passive income. So trying to show people how they can be equal amount of wealth, be equal amount of health, be equal. So I'm trying to show people how they can really do the same thing, live like a king. So what it's gonna bring is just pretty much, I'm gonna go through the process of what I did to put this passive income together. I could have done it better if I would have known what I knew right now from the start. So I'm bringing this from my heart to you. That's just what I do. So coming through with something new, you know the drill. Hit up the like, smash up the like, all these buttons, subscribe if you all haven't already. Coming through with new information steady. So I'm ready to bring this one. Preview of what I'm getting into. I'm gonna talk about how I pretty much learned about passive income, how I had the attention to bring it to reality, the process that I used to start my first source, and pretty much what I'm talking about, I could just repeat that over and over with new sources of passive income. And that's really what I'm trying to do, so I can bring to you new ways to get this money. So the first thing I really did was, I made a goal to start making passive income. So really, I learned about what passive income was. I didn't even really know what passive income was until towards the end of business school. And I didn't even learn about passive income in college, where I went to get a degree in business. So what does that tell you? They don't really know. You gotta get this knowledge on your own. So anyway, yeah, so I was reading a lot myself. I was reading a lot of books about personal development. I was reading about passive income, personal development, and business. Also pretty much successful business people, but that kind of ties into the whole thing. So really what I had learned was that most successful people when it comes to money, they all have multiple sources of passive income, right? Most people who have a job never really get rich, never really get ahead. And maybe they save up till they're retired and then they can, spend that money up until they're dead. But that's not really how I'm trying to live. So I saw that, I was like, man, I'm not trying to go down that path. So I got to find something better. So I did my own investigation. So basically, at the time I was really learning about this, the time I discovered passive income, I was working at a business that took up pretty much all of my time. The other amount of time, when I wasn't doing the business, I spent going to school. So I was really living like a fool, but I just didn't know, something I had to go through to get into the next lesson. So I'm just guessing that all played a part. So I was like, okay, I've done this. This is not something that I want to do, right? This business that I'm doing is cool. I was like, I enjoy this freedom. I like running a business rather than working on a business, working for a business. I would rather be running a business. I know that now. But what I didn't know at the time was I had to find a better way, and that passive income was now how I stay. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this decision from now on. I wanna be making passive income. That doesn't mean I won't work with any business if it's not passive income, but for the most part, I'm trying to put as many sources of passive income together as possible. So really, the next step was I started researching different ways to make passive income. And I found out there's so many different ways. like really, you know, anything you want to do, I feel like there's really a way to find multiple sources of passive income. I mean, you just have to like believe it's possible. You just have to do some research, and you'll find it. Like I think it's out there, you know, and this is really like a big thing that motivates me to like help other people see that, you know, they can really like do what they want in their dreams. And after researching different ways of finding passive income, what I decided was that I was gonna make writing and publishing books my first source of passive income. So the reason for this was because I had already been reading lots of books, right? Like I was saying, like I really, I never really liked reading like storybooks, like fiction books. I always enjoy reading nonfiction books. Like I always enjoy learning. I always enjoy like discovering something new. So I had already like understood like the book market pretty well. You know, I go to the bookstore a lot. I know what's out there. I kind of get an idea of like what sells a lot by how many copies of a certain thing they have. And there's a lot more to this that I got into with like online research that I just didn't understand at the time. But anyways, yeah, I decided I was gonna write and publish books. And I saw that, you know, you could go online and just publish any book and put it together yourself. And I was like, well, you know, I could really write like a book a week, right? Like if these books are like, you know, 5 to 10,000 words, which would come out to like something like 30 to 50 pages, and I sold them for cheap, then like I could write a bunch of books. Because at the end of the day, I realized like, you know, I'm not gonna be able to, you know, do a mass volume of books if I write like 1,000-page books. Also too, I kind of knew that there was going to be some kind of like learning curve. So I kind of realized like, okay, I don't really know which books are going to sell and which aren't going to sell. So I might as well just start like putting them out and seeing what happens. This is something that I understood from like researching different ways of making passive income. So that's what I started to do. I remember the first book that I I think it sold 1 copy. And I probably spent the most amount of time on it of any book that I ever did. Trying to make it perfect. Like I didn't want to put it out until I felt it was perfect. Like I paid more for the cover than any other book I did. But I also really like did a lot of research into writing it, but not a lot of research into the marketing. And you know, I feel like the marketing is like pretty important, that I didn't really understand at the time, but it's all good. So yeah, getting into it. So really like, you know, I'm talking about these books and everything, but at the end of the day, I mean, you could really do anything. Like, it doesn't have to be about books. This is just kind of metaphor. So I'm getting really back to the whole process. Like, that's what I want to keep this video on, is like how the process I use to make more than $2,000 per month by the end of 1 year of my first year of doing passive income. So what I had to do was I had to give myself the freedom to only focus on that one source of passive income, right? Like I realized like at the time from talking to other successful business people that it's very difficult to, if not impossible, to try and like do a full-time job or something full-time and then do like a business on the side, right? Like the business kind of needs to be full-time. I'm not saying that I don't want to say it's impossible, but I mean, it probably would have taken me like 5 times longer if I would have, you know, tried to like do something else and just do the passive income on the side. So what I did was I gave myself 1 year, and I said, okay, I set a goal, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna only work on this source of passive income for 1 year. And if I am not making more than $1,000 a month after 1 year, then I will give it up and I will try something different. Well, what I did was I had a budget. I set myself to a budget of $5,000 for a year in America, right? I mean, inflation, this was probably like almost 10 years ago, but still, I believe it's still possible. Like there's places in America that you can get rent for really cheap. What I did was I got a sublease and I found an apartment for like $350 a month. And I pretty much like spent all day working. I would get really cheap food. I really wasn't able to like eat as much as I probably like should have. But I mean, looking back, the sacrifice was worth it because I was really enjoying myself, like working on something that I believed in and something that I was excited about instead of just working for a paycheck for somebody else. Because like I said, I would much rather be working on a business, building a business, than like working for the business while someone else builds it. So yeah, I would pretty much just work all day. And I lived like downtown in the city I was in, so I would go out at night, and you know, I just wouldn't like, I wasn't really drinking at the time, so I wouldn't be like spending money at the bars. I would just go out to the bars and like talk to people and like see people I knew, and just spend like maybe like 1 or 2 hours like out like doing that at night, like seeing my friends and everything. So yeah, a big part of this with making any really business or source of passive income work is I had to set goals that motivated me, right? Like, you know, I set that goal for, you know, I was gonna be making at least $1,000 in 1 year. And what I was really like using the motivation for was what I was gonna use that money for. So I already knew like, okay, what am I gonna do with this $1,000? Like, how is that gonna make my life better? And I knew that once I achieved that goal, like my life was gonna be so much better because of like the freedom that I was gonna use that money to have, and how much like more I would enjoy life after that. So it made it much more easy to make the sacrifice, which was like, you know, spending very little money on anything else and just like working on the source of passive income. So once I like pretty much, you know, like laid out all this, like the goals and like what I wanted to do, I knew that passive income was the way. I knew that like books was the method for my first source. So what I did was I did as much research as I could before I started. And this was, you know, probably like a couple weeks where I was just researching before I actually started, you know, writing that first book. And I didn't really know too many steps ahead. Like at the beginning, I thought I was gonna write every book, but what I found out later on was like I saw once I started like writing books that sold well, I saw that the money was coming in and it'd be working better if I just, you know, paid people to write books and then I published the majority of them. So I didn't even like realize at the beginning that that was like gonna happen. I thought I was just gonna write everything, but you know, that just goes to show that you never ever know what's gonna happen. You just gotta start working, and pretty much everything's gonna unfold as long as you just take it one step at a time, and don't stress your mind, because happiness you will find in what you want to do. Just gotta stay true. So yeah, I did a lot of research on the book markets, saw what kind of books were selling, researched, you know, like how they marketed these books, and like what kind of like covers sold and everything like that. Because I don't know, I really feel like too, I know I've done it myself in the past, but I think a lot of people buy books because like the cover looks cool, and then they never actually read the book. Maybe that I'm just like, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, next thing I had to do was like pick a niche to write about. And you know, I did pick a niche, and I was like, well, I'll write all my books on this niche. So did the first book and didn't sell at all, but you know, I kind of expected that. I saw that one sale after like a week, and I was like so excited. I was like, oh man, I made like $2. And I was like, that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. So what I did is I kept doing books, and I kind of like, you know, stayed in that first niche I was doing, but I like kind of like changed the topic a little bit. And like I'd say my first 10 books, like I was writing about like motivation, success. Like those were like the titles of my books, right? Like motivation, success, determination. So I think it was like maybe the 10th book I did. It was called like motivation, was like the 10th one. That was like the first one that really like sold well. And I remember just like checking my sales one day, and that like after like, you know, being on the market for like 2 days, that book had sold like 10 copies. But because that book was selling well, people saw my other books that were like in the same niche. So then all of a sudden, all my other books that were maybe selling like a copy a week, those books were all selling like 2 to 3 copies a day now, because that other book was selling good. So basically, that was the start. So yeah, really, looking back, you know, I thought that was doing pretty good, but like that wasn't bringing in the money I needed. I was like, I can do better, I can make more. I'm always like really trying to improve, trying to soar. So what I did was I found that I would just try different niches, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what's really selling out here, right? It might be stuff that I don't really like understand so well, but now I understand the process of like writing a book and making this source of passive income. But I always kept it nonfiction. Like I never really liked the fiction stuff. So anyway, yeah, I just kept trying different niches. And then I remember like the first thing that I really did was like some random like reality TV show stuff, right? That like was super popular, and I didn't really understand it or know much about it, but I saw how popular it was, and I was like, okay, my marketing mind is telling me like this is what people want to buy, right? Like people are just buying all kinds of stuff because this is what's trending right now. This is what's popular. So that's what I did. And this was like the first like couple books where these books were selling like thousands of copies a month, right? So I was really doing this for, you know, like a good 4 or 5 months, really like understanding. I'd already put out like, you know, something like 20, 30 books before I figured this out. Like it was like a learning curve that took a while. Like I would have never figured this out had I not failed with so many books before that and gone through like not making this money. So passive income, I feel like, is really slow. And I think that's a big reason that a lot of people have trouble, you know, mentally. Like their mind is like, you know, like that passive income, like they started and they're not seeing any kind of like money, and they're like, well, look at how much time I'm putting into this. If I was working at a job, I would be making like, you know, already hundreds of dollars because I would have put in this amount of hours. But what I'm trying to say is like that job money is fast money, and fast money doesn't last, right? So I feel like the passive income is really like the slow money, right? Like you'll put a lot of work into it at first and you won't really see any results most of the time. Sometimes people get lucky and like right away they will get, you know, very successful results from just like their first few like things that they put out with whatever they're doing. But for the most part, I think like if you just stick with it, like you will see results. And like at the end of the day, if you stick with it, the amount of money that you make from passive income is really going to shadow like any type of money that you would have made if you would have put that same like year of work in with like an hourly or a yearly wage job. So yeah, once I discovered really what worked, I just started like doing as much of that as I could, right? Like make hay while the sun shines, because like trends are always changing. So I spent as much time as I could without rearranging what I was doing. Yeah, I just, you know, I found out what worked, and then I spent as much time improving on that and just doing that before that kind of went out of trend, and then I had to do something different. Because that's another thing I feel like with not just passive income, with any business, is what I've discovered is if you find something that really like sells really well and has a huge market and people want it, and other people are going to see that and they're going to try to imitate what you're doing. So like, I mean, for this, like I've learned that, and at first I was like, oh man, these people are just copying me and like they're taking like sales. Like I would have been getting all these sales, and now I'm seeing my sales decline because now there's all these other similar products on the market. However, what I realized is like, okay, well, I'm the person that originally created that. Like that was all me. So I can just keep doing that again. Like I know how to create this stuff. So what I know now is like, you know, I'll create something that's awesome and that sells, but really like I know it's going to be only a matter of time before somebody like tries to go and copy that, and then all of a sudden the sales start going down. And that's any business. So you know, you just can't frown, because at the end of the day, if you set up like passive income in a way that, you know, it's attached to a brand, people are gonna start seeing over time, like, okay, well, this brand is the originator. So when people know that your brand is the original that's putting out stuff and these other brands are the ones that are copying, people are gonna start becoming loyal to your brand. So you can't really be worried that people copy you. It's just a part of business. Like, it's just something that happens when you're successful. So yeah, basically, what I found there was after about, I think it was a little less than 6 months, I had already reached my goal of $1,000 a month. And by the end of that first year, I had easily was making over $2,000 a month. So I was like, okay, this worked out way better than I thought. And I mean, looking back, like that first year of work I did, it probably generated me over like the next 5 years, something like, I would guess like $100,000, right? And I'm still making money. Like, it's less, a little bit less every year, but it's cool because I keep expanding and keep like building new things. So, all these things that I do, 5-10 years ago are still making money. Plus I'm adding the new sources of passive income on top of that. So that's pretty much what I got for today. Hope that you liked what I had to say. Hit the subscribe button if you may, and make sure you smash the like too, so I can keep bringing to you some new information and other people too. Because when you like my video, YouTube's gonna hit it on that algorithm so that it promotes it to more people. So then we can be all equally getting it out here. I'm talking about money, so we can stay clear from just living a life that we don't like, right? Like, there's so much out here, like I'm saying, and so much that's like just not flowing. Like, it's all stuck at the top and it needs to flow down to everybody else. And we've just been like, basically educated wrong on how to be rich. Like, getting a job, having one job is not gonna make you rich. It's gonna make somebody else rich. So I'm trying to flip the script. Yeah, that's it for today. Hope you like what I had to say. As always, smash up the likes, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna keep putting out these videos of my own experience, and I'm gonna do the Abraham Hicks videos for motivation too. Always trying to bring to you good content, no nonsense. That's it for today. Hope you like what I had to say. Hope you got some value out of what I had to tell you. I'm out, without a doubt.